ask, can I drink alcohol and still lose weight? If you have to ask that question, are you realistically going to cut it out long term? And if you aren't going to, isn't it better to learn to strike a balance to begin with? Now note, I'm talking about alcohol consumption in moderation. If you have problems with addiction or are triggered by the subject, this video may not be right for you. But if you find that alcohol is something that you want to include in your lifestyle and you're trying to lose weight, let's discuss the pros and cons. Because let's face it, alcohol in no amount is truly healthy for us. Now, don't even start to protest about the antioxidants in your wine, because A, let's be real here, you're not drinking wine for those antioxidants. B, the antioxidants in wine that are considered so beneficial, like resveratrol, aren't actually consumed in large enough quantities through drinking to provide a beneficial impact. Studies into the benefits of things like resveratrol are also flawed in that they use a different form than the one found in food. Not to mention they're test tube studies and also done on mice. See, even recent studies that have shown there may be mild benefit in terms of protecting against heart disease and diabetes showed that even then, only some groups benefited, and this was still consuming less than one drink a day. So even if you want to believe that your wine has health benefits, most of us don't stick to the very moderate amounts that we have to drink to actually get those benefits. That one glass becomes one very full glass. And if you look at the list of negatives when it comes to consuming alcohol, well, that list is extensive, and it basically completely outweighs any antioxidant benefits. But despite the fact that it isn't healthy, many of us do want to indulge in that glass of wine with dinner, that cocktail out with friends, that beer, or that White Claw. The simple fact is, many of us enjoy it and enjoy drinking socially. It enhances parties and holidays. It's part of how we relax and have fun. And I think it's key we recognize the mental, social, and emotional aspects to some of the things we include in our lifestyle, like drinking. If it enhances part of your life and can actually alleviate some stress, that benefit can be worth enjoying in moderation. Because let's face it, life is meant to be enjoyed. However, we do want to understand the impact our choices have on the goals we've set for ourselves. So if you choose to include alcohol in your lifestyle, how does it help or hurt your fitness goals? Can you still lose weight and see body recomposition while including alcohol? The answer is yes, but with a big but. If your main goal is fat loss and you want the fastest results possible, you should cut out alcohol for a time. Sorry, it sucks, but it's true. The faster we want results, the more we need to eliminate any and all things that may negatively impact our training, our calorie intake, and our hormones. And since alcohol can negatively impact all of those things, if you want quick results, you need to cut it out. Alcohol hinders our weight loss and fat loss results because it suppresses fat oxidation. When you drink, your body will prioritize getting rid of alcohol first over utilizing the other macros you've consumed. So while you won't magically store fat because of drinking, this process slows everything down. Not to mention when we're drinking, we tend not to make the most macro-friendly choices. Alcohol lowers inhibitions and increases our appetite. So we not only consume the empty calories of alcohol, but we tend to reach for those calorically dense and definitely not nutritionally dense other foods. And then on top of the change in lipolysis and calorie consumption is the negative impact alcohol can have on our training routine. I mean, think about the morning after a big night out drinking. That training routine never feels good. It always kind of suffers. Not to mention, a lot of your future sessions that week will even suffer as well. The benefits we get from our training done prior to a night out drinking can also be diminished. This happens because alcohol can inhibit protein synthesis, lower testosterone, and elevate cortisol levels. It can reduce muscle protein synthesis for up to 12 hours after a night out drinking. And sorry dudes, but alcohol may actually impact your testosterone levels more than women's. Alcohol can also inhibit the proper absorption of nutrients, which can affect your recovery. This can increase soreness the day after and slow your recovery, which may impact your workouts not only the day after, but even later in the week. One night of drinking may have longer lasting effects on our training than we even realize, which is why if you want the fastest results possible, you may want to cut out alcohol. So alcohol will only hold you back from seeing the fastest results possible and may cause you to be inconsistent with your nutrition. That being said, there can still be an argument made for keeping in alcohol as part of your lifestyle balance for the most sustainable long-term results. First off, many of these negative effects, aside from the crappy training sessions due to being hungover, aren't necessarily going to be seen by a single night of fun. They occur with more frequent heavy drinking. So again, if you want the fastest results possible, you should cut out alcohol for a short time. However, think about that initial question I asked you. If you aren't realistically going to cut it out forever, why not learn to strike a balance now? Often we go to these extremes to see results as fast as possible and form restrictive habits we can't maintain over learning how to create the healthiest version of our personal lifestyle. Because the best way to maintain your results long term is to know how alcohol and any other foods you plan to enjoy long term can fit into your overall balance. So if you plan to include alcohol ultimately, why not learn how to work it in at points for that balance to begin with? This is where you have to decide what you want and know the pros and cons. Fast results? Cut it out. Slow and steady? Find the balance to start and keep it in. You may even find you start by keeping it in, but then cut it out for a period before adding it back into your lifestyle. There's no one right way. The key is just knowing your options and figuring out what will work for you, and then determining how you include it. So what are some things to consider if you do plan to include alcohol? If you want to lose weight, it may be best to choose to start to include alcohol in your diet on only a day or two, even if you're used to having your glass of wine each night. And then to strike that balance, make sure to log your alcohol in your macros. But the question is, what macro is alcohol? Technically, well, it's sort of its own macro. If you enter it into your logs, it won't subtract carbs or fat, aside from the few in beer or wine or the mixers that you add in. But it will add calories. If you're trying to track macros and want to hold yourself accountable, you may choose to log it as a fat or a carb. To log it as a fat, you will divide the calories in the drink by 9. To log it as a carb, you will divide it by 4. So if you drink, let's just say a White Claw, which is 100 calories and 2 grams of carbs, you may first subtract the carb calories, so 8 from the total. Then you would take 92 calories and divide it by 9 to get the grams of fat you're subtracting from your day, or by 4 to get the carb grams you're subtracting from your day as well. This helps you make sure you're not going over in your macros to create that balance. Ideally, you'll subtract fat grams since alcohol does slow fat digestion, but you can also choose to use carb grams if you're on a lower fat ratio. But just make sure to log it and even consider a more even thirds macro breakdown on days you do drink so you can keep yourself in the range to lose, but also give yourself some freedom to have those things you crave when drinking. And then also make sure to eat some quality protein before you start drinking, especially if you trained earlier that day. You know all those times you competed in a race, whether or not it's an obstacle course race, mud run, 5K fun run, intense marathon, cycling event, and then you go out drinking after? This can increase soreness the day after and hinder your recovery. So make sure to get in some quality nutrients and give them even time to be metabolized before drinking if possible. Alcohol can be a part of a balanced lifestyle, and you can still lose weight while including alcohol in your diet. But if you do, be aware of the impact it can have on your results and your training. For the fastest results possible, you may choose to cut out alcohol for a short period of time. But also remember, if you plan to drink in the future, you need to strike that lifestyle balance. We don't want to create restrictive habits that we can't maintain long term. Let me know in the comments your drink of choice. And if you liked the video, make sure to like it, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe. We're posting new videos each week.